All rise for the invocation.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for this time to be together and come together and do the business for the town of Cheraw. And we ask that you pray for guidance in this meeting for our elected leaders, and for the administrative staff of the town, and in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me see. Thank you for being here this evening. Council, you have in your packet a copy of the minutes of the June 13th council meeting. Do I have a motion to approve that presented?
So
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimous. Also, you have in your packet a copy of the minutes of the June 27th special council meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes presented?
So
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimous. Also, you have a copy of the financial report for the June meeting. Do I have, are there any additions or corrections to that report? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept it as presented?
So
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimous. At this time on our agenda, I'd like to call on Mike Smith to step forward, please, Mike, for recognition for his service to the community. As most of you probably know, Mike is going to retire on July the 28th, and he's something that he's been looking forward to, I think, for quite a while. But council would like to present Mike a proclamation at this time, and I'll read it as follows. A proclamation of thanks to Michael D. Smith for 36 years of service to the town of Cheraw. Whereas Michael Smith has been a public servant for over 40 years, and whereas Michael Smith is retiring from the town of Cheraw on July the 28th, 2023, after serving for 36 years. And whereas Michael Smith served as Community Development Director from 1987 to November of 2010, and as Town Administrator from November 2010 until June of 2023. Whereas Michael Smith has worked tirelessly during this time to improve the lives of all people in Cheraw, and during his tenure secured over $35 million in grants for the town of Cheraw. And whereas these grants cover activities such as housing repair, public safety, community revitalization, historic preservation, storm drainage improvements, dilapidated housing demolition, water system improvements, sewer system improvements, economic development, fire protection, outdoor recreation, and many other aspects of the community improvements. And whereas Michael Smith has provided a stellar example of leadership for all of the town staff to learn from, and whereas Michael Smith and his leadership have left indelible impressions upon our community, now therefore I, Andrew R. Ingram, Mayor of the town of Cheraw, and on behalf of the town council and the entire community, would like to thank Michael D. Smith for his years of service and for his leadership in promoting the growth and development of Cheraw as we enter the 21st century. This done this 11th day of July, 2023. All right.
Certainly get numbers, but I am very proud of you and council for what you've done for the town. I think it's the best council. You're now addressing things that have been neglected for years, and I'm proud to say, we're leading, and I think we're heading in the right direction. With the hotel and revitalization downtown, water sewer being addressed, and now recreation, that will be undertaken. I couldn't be more pleased with what we're doing. I thank you for all that you've done, for your support over the years. You don't know how, the public really doesn't know how tirelessly the mayor's worked and our relationship. You can't do it without employees, and so we've got some dedicated employees. I want to especially thank Tina. Tina is for you don't know, she takes home work every night and works tirelessly, so we're doing that. To Rob, he is shown his leadership capabilities for the last 4 years. He'll be a better city manager than I ever was. I'm pleased to see that the mayor and the form of government that we've had has changed from a strong mayor to a council manager. And Rob's a perfect person to do that. I look forward to helping. I'll be around to help a little bit, but anyway, I appreciate everything and what everybody's done, and just wish them much success. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we have Chip Ingram, who is representing from the Crusaders, the longest day walk. Say a few words on that organization.
No, my curious today is to thank everybody. June the 21st was, again, the longest day in the Alzheimer's world. And the Purple Crusaders sponsored it. It was held at Arrowhead Park, and what a success. This is our third year. I'll tell folks that don't know who the Purple Crusaders are. The Purple Crusaders are a group of Cheraw Chesterfield advocates that have come together for a common cause. Our goal is to help find a cure for Alzheimer's and dementia-related diseases. So many people are being affected by it. So many people are feeling the pain. If you haven't been around it, odds are you will be around it. Alzheimer's does not discriminate. that doesn't care what color you are, what creed you are, where you came from, where you're going, and what kind of money you got. It's a worldwide crisis, and I'm proud to be a Purple Crusader. We got this unit established about 3 years ago. We got together and we said, hey, let's try this. And we're looking for trying to come out of tragedy. This has become now, it was a vision, but now it's a mission. We're doing good things for the cause and we're making a lot of noise, but we couldn't do it without the support of Cheraw. That's what I'm here for today. I'm very involved with the team. We couldn't have done it without the town of Cheraw. But first of all, I'm going to give this gentleman to step up here with me, okay? Come on up here, man. Reggie wasn't ready for this, okay? Reggie, I said, Reggie, I want you to come up there and be with me tonight. For the past 3 years, we called on the recreation department, we called on the fire department, we called on the police department, we called on grounds and maintenance, we called on public works. Anybody that we call to in this town has been there to support us. But I'm going to tell you about this guy right here, okay? Reggie, I talked to Reggie about a punch list. Reggie said, boss man, don't you worry, we got it covered. Reggie spent 2 days doing the work that others do not enjoy doing to help make this a wonderful event. He had things lined up. He was the first at the park that morning. You know how it is when you're trying to set up in the morning. You know, everything's real busy. Reggie says, I got your back, I'm here with you. Reggie is an example of the people that so many of us will take for granted. You know, our daily lives go on, we have the conveniences of what we have, but these are the people that make the wheels turn. And I just want to thank Reggie for who he is, the person he is. I said, Reggie, I can't thank you enough. He says, that's my job. That is my job. And he had the best attitude, and he helped make this event a success. And we shouldn't forget people like Reggie. We love people like Reggie. So thanks for supporting the Purple Crusaders. It hasn't only been a thank you for the town for stepping up. It's also thank you. I see so many people in here today that have been a part of the movement through their involvement, through their contributions. We're making a statement, and it's great to have the communities, Chesterfield and Cheraw, to be such an important part of this team. And we're going to continue. We're going to continue. And we're going to kick Alzheimer's ass, I can tell you that. And also, I want to thank Mayor, Council, your staff, for what y'all do for the town. I want to thank y'all for the decisions y'all have to make, popular, unpopular. But thank you for taking care for the best interest of all of the people in our community. Thank you.
I'd like to say we appreciate what Purple Crusader stands for and what you do as far as advocating and getting the word out and helping the cause. And it's getting bigger and bigger every year. I see a lot of folks here this evening that have participated, and it's just a good thing. It's a good thing. At this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Chase Watson, who is asked to come before council.
Good afternoon. Hope everyone's great. My name is Chase Watson. As all of you know, I grew up here in this town, went off to school, returned, started my career. As a concerned local business owner, I like to address the rezoning of development 18013 and 18010. During the planning council meeting, everyone who showed up was against rezoning this tract. The only people in favor was the developers. The planning commission unanimously voted not to rezone. They submitted it to the council. I'm also against rezoning of this tract. My business is 300 feet off the parcel. The planning commission has a vision for this town. A lot of work was put into the comprehensive scope, getting everything zoned properly. The property should stay commercial. When the property was purchased, it was general commercial. If the developer wants to build housing, he can still build housing on this lot. They just have to build commercial on the bottom and residential on the top. If the developer did this for our town, this would be great. It would kill two birds with one stone. It would give us a place to have new businesses and a place for people to live. This would provide us with a better tax basis. Lastly, if we take the tract further away from the road and rezone it for apartments, then the front tract will stay commercial. The front parcel will only be green space and a driveway for the apartments. This is very different from the comprehensive 10-year plan our town laid out by the planning commission and voted on by the council. Therefore, I see no need to change the zoning because at the end of the day, if the developer wants to build residential housing, they can build residential housing. They just need to put commercial on the bottom. Please consider keeping this tract zoned as commercial. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chase, for your comment. Also, we have on the agenda this evening, Austin and Sarah Sanderson. Y'all like to come forward, please?
We're gonna do it separate if that's okay. It's just, to start off talking, we do thank y'all for all the work you do, and I want to tell Mike, I'll tell him congratulations on his retirement. But, we are so fortunate, as Chip says, that we have so many volunteers here in our community. We have a lot of people that volunteer their time, their money, all kinds of different ways they volunteer. And our town, it's just, we have so much poverty that continues to rise. And all anybody's got to do is go into the school system. And I think also we'll talk about this as well, but with our just the stats of Cheraw, the school system at Cheraw Intermediate, and I'm going to talk about that school because that's the one I volunteer at and that's the one I go to, is 93% poverty rate. I mean, that is not good for our town. We have a 41 age limit median here in our town. And we have Austin that's moved back. We have several people that's moved back that's younger, and they love Cheraw. And we want to see it rise. I mean, there's so many ways that we could rise up. And I made all these notes. I never use notes whenever I start talking. But if you'll give me just a minute, please. And I can't even find my numbers. I don't even know where they are. But the main point I want to make is there's several different people here that were, I think the majority sitting back here is here for the housing development. And no one that I've talked to wants the housing development in that area. No one that I've talked to. And I've talked to a lot of people. And I know there was about 60 people represented, the other night. And we just don't understand why this is pushing through at all, especially since the planning committee voted it down. None of us can comprehend. You want to go ahead and do?
Should I speak separately or are we under the same?
You go ahead and just say where you want to.
Well, I sort of used some of the same statistics that she used. Looked up on an APA, and PBS.org, and national average of poverty in Americans is 12%. And in children, it's 18%. In Cheraw, South Carolina, we're just under 40%. And as she said, at intermediate school, we're at 93%. And I was told that there's probably around 50 students that could be going to our intermediate school that aren't, that would help lower that percentage. But you know, with poverty comes poor education, higher crime rates. So we can't expect these people to send their children to our public schools if our public school isn't educating them well. And if we can't expect our citizens to send their kids to public schools, how can we expect industry to come into our town, much less stay in our town? And I don't see our town growing if we're not giving it a healthy promotion. I think we're headed in a direction of systematic poverty, where we're building these places for people to live, but we're not giving them a way out. These places are built so people can come and get a healthy push back into a successful life. But there's nowhere for them to grow here. And without improving either our middle class or healthcare or education, I don't see where there is room for us to grow. And by introducing another one of these buildings where it says right here that, I got this off of APA, where 40% of children who grew up poor are still poor at the age of 25. And it also says that children who are not born poor at birth are only 4% likely to be persistently poor throughout childhood, where children who are born poor are 49% likely. And we're not promoting a way to get these young adults out of these living conditions. They're born here, they're raised here, they start a family in these low-income housing, then that's just going to be a cycle that's going to continue to be repeated. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Council, on the agenda is second reading of ordinance 2024-01. This is an ordinance to amend the town of Cheraw's official zoning map to rezone a portion of partial 259-008-015 from GC, general commercial, to R2, multifamily residential. Is there a motion to adopt this second and final reading?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
One no, 6 approved. Motion passes. Council, we have a resolution -01-2024. This is a resolution permitting the town of Cheraw to provide a $500,000 match for the South Carolina Department of Commerce Rural Incentive Program. Rob?
The county approached us and offered an opportunity from the South Carolina Department of Commerce through their Rural Initiative Program. It's a $500,000 grant that's basically just being offered to us through the county, and it's for economic development. They asked if we had any projects available, and they did, and I did suggest to them Caston Park. They took the redevelopment of Caston Park to the South Carolina Department of Commerce, and they said that would be a good project to apply for. So they're providing $500,000. The total estimated cost for redeveloping Caston Park is $1.365 million, and we would be required to provide $865,000 of that, with Commerce providing $500,000.
Council, give a recommendation on the resolution 01-2024. Is there a motion to adopt the recommendation?
Second.
Is there further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Also, resolution 02-2024. It's a resolution committing the town of Cheraw to accept ownership of the 100 block of Market Street to enhance downtown revitalization efforts. Rob?
This is something we've talked about for the last couple of years now. SCDOT has a lot of restrictions on how public right-of-ways can be used. We own and maintain most of the infrastructure on the 100 block of Market Street already. And with them having just paved it, it's a good time to take ownership of the road because it will allow us increased flexibility to utilize that public space for continued downtown revitalization efforts.
Council, you get a recommendation from the manager to go ahead and accept the 100 block of Market Street. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, could I ask Rob a question? Only additional responsibility would be repaving the road in the future.
Yes, right now we own, since we have the brick sidewalks downtown, we are already responsible more or less for maintaining sidewalks, maintaining those bricks. We maintain the lights down there. There's no storm drainage on that street. So our only future responsibility would be paving it, and that would be, we can take that from state accommodations tax funds, or we can always go to the CTC for funds as well.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the recommendation say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimous. Also, we have a request from town manager to include a memo of understanding regarding paycheck withholdings in the employee handbook.
We already have this policy that if an employee owes us money, either through keeping uniforms or having an accident in a work vehicle, for instance, they have to pay us that back before we get their final paycheck, or we can withhold it from the final paycheck. Even though that's adopted policy, still conflicts can arise when the employees leave the town of Cheraw, and that's a condition of their leaving. So this will just add another layer to try to prevent conflicts by having them sign a memo that they understand that the policy has been gone over with them.
Council, you hear the recommendation from the town manager. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimous. Also, we have a recommendation from the town manager to transfer ARP money to fund the CHIPS grant activities. Bob.
So this is part of our $10 million grant that we received from the Rural Infrastructure Authority. The total cost of that project is estimated to be $11.6 million, of which the rural infrastructure is paying for $10 million of it. And then they're offering us an additional $500,000, leaving the town to match approximately $1.1 million. As part of this grant management process, the Rural Infrastructure Authority recommends that cities and towns set up separate bank accounts to handle the accounting. So this would allow me to transfer funds into that account from our ARP funds to go ahead and get that process started. I estimate that we'll start paying engineering fees out in September.
Council, you hear the recommendation from the town administrator to transfer our ARP funds. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion?
Mayor, Rob, after this appropriation of the ARP funds, what will balance be?
The remaining balance of our ARP funds right now is about $642,000 obligated. So this will actually take us over that amount. So eventually I will come back and we'll start pulling from water sewer funds and make those matches.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimous. Also, a request from the town manager to authorize expenditures to shore up for the Cheraw water treatment plant. Rob.
In March 2022, town engineer Davis and Floyd discovered identified structural issues at our existing water plant. We did receive a $400,000 forgivable loan from SRF to repair those. However, we have now put that out for bid twice, and both times we have not received any bids on those repairs. The situation at the water plant has continued to deteriorate, and so in order to make sure it stays structurally sound, I'm requesting that town council authorize $80,000 to come from the water sewer fund so that we can shore up the water plant while we continue to get these repairs taken care of.
Council, you have the recommendation from the town manager to authorize the expenditure of $80,000 to do that work down at the water treatment plant. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Rob, what is the problem with no bids on it? Is it just too small a job?
The primary issue that we've discovered with no bids on it is the bids have to be a lump sum for one amount. We're not going to allow labor and time and materials in order to repair. But without a more thorough investigation, a contractor will not bid on it because they do not know the exact extent of the problem. So they can put in a bid and then go in and suddenly it's much more complex than what they anticipated. By shoring it up, Davis and Floyd can conduct a more thorough investigation of the problem and get a much more detailed scope of work that should allow us to get a full bid.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Council, you have in your packet the activity reports. If you have any questions or concern on any of those reports, please contact the town manager on any concerns you may have. Also, at this time, we have on our agenda set aside for citizens' comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and address council at this time under citizens' comments? G. Page, come forward.
I'll say what I got to say right here. Mr. Johnson, thank you for representing our town and us. The rest of you, shame on you. Shame on you. Thanks to you, our town is becoming a town of poverty and crime. And I hope you can live with this. But Mr. Johnson, thank you for representing us and wanting our town to grow and become a great town.
Anyone else? Hearing none, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here. And then council will leave, we got some documents.
So,